In an effort to make Americans so desperate that they have no choice but to take starvation wages at a company that abuses them, red states have decided to prematurely cut off unemployment insurance to unemployed Americans during the coronavirus pandemic. Now, these federal subsidies to kind of increase unemployment insurance for people in various states was part of Biden's coronavirus relief package. It added an additional $300 a week for each person who is unemployed, but the business community wants to pressure politicians, and the GOP is the first to bite and take the bait. And so the governors of Alaska, Iowa, Missouri, and Mississippi all voluntarily ended their state's enhanced benefits over the weekend, the first of 25 states that plan to end participation in the federal programs. Currently, by the way, the federal benefits account for an extra, as I mentioned, $300 per week, a lifeline for unemployed workers during the COVID-19 pandemic. There are nearly 3 million people receiving the enhanced benefits in the 25 states ending the program. So this will impact 3 million Americans. And I just think it's fascinating to see the difference between how progressives are responding to this and how corporate Democrats are responding to this, because Senator Sanders, Bernie Sanders, has said that federal law requires the US government to make sure workers continue to receive gig worker benefits created by the COVID Aid Relief and Economic Security Act. But President Joe Biden has given his blessing to the red state cutoffs. In fact, Press Secretary Jen Psaki, who gets a lot of praise, said this during a fairly recent press conference about the matter.
Last month, the president was pretty adamant that he did not believe that these enhanced unemployment benefits were playing a role or factoring into people's decisions not to get back into the jobs market. Today, though, he's underscoring that these benefits are simply temporary, set to expire in 90 days. So which is it, yes or no, does the president believe that these unemployment benefits are playing a role here?
Well, I think we shouldn't lose sight of some basic facts here, which is that those governors who have made the decision, as they have every right to do, to pull back on the unemployment benefits, or not accept them, I should say accurately, that hasn't even taken effect in any state across the country. So in terms of how we're evaluating the impact, we haven't even seen the impact yet. That takes effect in June.
Well, I mean, it certainly has taken an effect, is in effect now with these specific states that I mentioned, and the 25 states total that will prematurely cut unemployed workers off from this unemployment insurance. Now, what's the reality of the matter? Well, recent Department of Labor statistics and jobs numbers showed the benefits' negative impact on economic growth was marginal. Last month, in fact, the economy added more than 500,000 jobs. Still, in May, there were roughly 7.9 million fewer jobs than before the pandemic. So I think that there's also a misconception about the jobs available, right? Now, are there jobs in companies where they're having difficulty filling those positions? Yes, and you know what? We're seeing workers actually be able to exercise their rights or their power in this case and withhold their labor until they get appropriate pay for the work that they're gonna do. But even so, there's still a number of jobs that have not come back to the economy from the pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah, so Republicans did something very similar during Obamacare implementation. The federal government provided a lot of money in Medicaid benefits that could have helped people get insurance and be covered in case they got sick, and the red states turned it down. So in this case, this unemployment money is in the COVID relief bill. It's the federal money giving those states that money to help their citizens. And it is Republican politicians in those states saying, no, we do not want to help our citizens. Even though it is free money given from the federal government, it doesn't come out of our budget, I'm still gonna say no, because I actively do not want to help the citizens. Now, why would they do that? Well, the voters are all citizens, so that doesn't make much sense. I mean, are there Republicans who lost their jobs? Of course, there's 8 million less jobs now than there was in the beginning of the pandemic. There are independents, et cetera. So what's the benefit, right? What like, do they get some sort of joy out of it? Do the Republican voters like them more if they're extra mean to people? Well, a little bit. I'm sure they probably get some joy out of it. And Republican voters love people who are mean, especially to them. I don't know if it's psychological or whatever, but like, oh, you're gonna beat us up and take our money. Oh, we love it as long as you own the libs, right? So there's a little bit of that, but that's not the main driving force. The main driving force is they're donors.
Yep.
Business interests go to the politicians and go, drive them back to the mines and don't pay them unemployment that is slightly above the poverty wages we pay them. We found out a way where we could unload their healthcare costs on you guys. We could unload a whole bunch of costs on you. We could have you guys eliminate our competition, and then we could pay them wages where they are barely able to exist. We have crushed their souls perfectly. Don't come in here with the federal government giving enough unemployment where they're not thoroughly crushed and desperate. We need them in a desperate state. Drive them back to the factories and the mines by taking away anything that the government would have done decently for them.
Right.
And that's what Republicans are. Look, guys, it doesn't matter. All the propaganda doesn't matter. These are facts. They took the checks away for no reason at all, other than the one I just, if you think there's a better reason or a different reason, have at it, Hoss. But the Republicans screwed you, and they always screw you. Why? It's the donors, follow the money. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Okay, but I also wanna make sure that we address the fact that what Republican lawmakers are doing right now, what the Republican Party in general is doing right now, in their nonstop crying on behalf of the US Chamber of Commerce, which hasn't stopped crying since the beginning of the pandemic, every time you hear anything about actually helping ordinary Americans. It's a target, right? I mean, when you think about it, what they're doing is actually pretty unpopular. When they put that in practice, I guarantee you that conservative voters, Republican voters are not gonna appreciate it, because whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter. This type of behavior by our government impacts you, right? So what Biden could do and what Democrats could do is, instead of immediately folding and accepting that they're likely to lose in the midterm elections, go on the offense. They're giving you something to target them on, but instead you have Jen Psaki who's like, Republican governors have every right to crush their workers. We're in favor of that. Great press secretary activity there.
Yeah, 100%, guys. Look, I know everybody's in camps. Some camps say Democrats can do nothing wrong. Other camps say Democrats do everything wrong, but Republicans are angels. These camps are nonsense, okay? All that matters is facts, reality, and truth. And so in this case, Anna is indisputably right. You saw it with your own eyes. She's not a Republican press secretary. That's not Sarah Huckabee Sanders. That's a Democratic press secretary saying, basically thanking the Republican governors. Oh, you're destroying the help that we gave the American people. That, by the way, not only is a good thing from a decency and morality perspective, but it's also great politics. Oh, thank you for destroying that. And bravo, you have every right to crush your own citizens, and we applaud you while you're doing that. You're supposed to fight them. They're on the other side, and they're destroying your bill that you bragged about. Nah, they're all on this. Look, the corporate Democrats and the corporate Republicans, this part is true. They are on the same team. So yes, they have a nice kabuki theater about disagreeing on social issues. And yes, those social issues are important. They're not unimportant. I don't want the racists to win, right? I don't want people who hate gay people, don't want them to have any rights to win, right? But the core of government is about the money. And when it comes to the money, they all agree. Their donors should have all of it, and their voters should have none of it. And so if you hear anything from the mainstream media like that, just dive 1 millimeter in, and you'll see that all of their excuses are nonsense. Why are the Democrats helping the Republican governors destroy their own COVID relief bill? The only thing they've passed, and it might be the only thing they'll ever pass. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.